Hello, cult members, and welcome to Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And hello, Star Wars fans. We're going to do a little bit of a rundown of our experience for the first time at Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim in 2022. A little bit of backstory. We bought these tickets 5 minutes after they went on sale in June of 2019. Then somebody had to eat a bat, and the world came to an end. And then they moved it to August of this year, and we were like, "Sweet, we can do this and Fan Fusion."
Not this year, last year.
August of last year. They moved
2021.
it like 4 times. Is what it comes down to.
2021.
But they ended up moving it to Memorial Day weekend, which is the same weekend as Archon, which is also the same weekend as MCM, the big one in London.
Right.
And so it was. What does this mean? Kind of like everybody's trying to get caught up and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
uh,
Everybody's got to do it on the same weekend. Unfortunately, Memorial Day weekend in Anaheim, when everybody's trying to go to Disneyland, which is right there,
yeah, we saw the fireworks from the backyard.
made finding accommodations interesting.
Yes, very, very much. We got very lucky with the house we got, and we had a previous group that wouldn't have fit in the house, but a lot of them ditched out, and then we had a couple of friends who came in, and then Robert and Vanessa were supposed to come with us from late to the party, and then Robert got sick, and so it ended up being 4 of us in the house, and it's about a 5-10 minute walk to the convention center.
Yeah.
And which was fine for us, but there was a couple times where I'm like, we have to go to the other side of the convention center for food, so
We're just going to Uber back.
we're gonna take the lift. So let's talk about our feelings of the convention overall. We'll talk about some of the panels too,
Okay.
and then maybe the future. But our feelings overall of the convention and our experience. How do you feel?
Okay, I'm going first. So I am not the oh my god Star Wars fan.
Right.
That's him.
That's me.
Mine's Harry Potter, but I do enjoy Star Wars. I watched all the movies and the shows.
If
Not
they do Harry Potter Celebration in Anaheim, we're going.
right. Make that happen. I haven't watched like Rebels and Clone Wars and that stuff, but I've watched all the movies and the Disney Plus shows. So I was a little like I had kind of made some plans for him wanting to go off and
Yeah.
do something that I was like, eh. But I mean, I had fun. I don't feel like there was anything that I was like, I don't understand what's going on. Or, I mean, there was some cosplay that I was like, I don't know who this person is.
Even I had that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had that.
Yeah. There was some pretty deep stuff. But for the most part, I felt like I knew what was going on. I was having a good time. Um, by the end of today, which was day 4, I was like, okay, I'm done. And it really had more to do with just we have peopled more in the last 4 days than we have in the last 2.5 years.
Right,
And
right.
and we've gone to a con.
Right. Right.
And, just done being on my feet and ready to eat and sit down and kind of decompress before we drive home. So, but I mean, I had fun.
I'm I was also concerned if you were going to be able to have stuff like I would want to wander off to some panel, um if we could get into a panel. I want to talk about that whole process in a minute, but that I was worried that I would want to go see the Visions panel or the Marvel Comics panel and get lost in that process and kind of leave her behind. But it ended up being okay. Like it ended up being, uh, uh, we were able to do a lot of stuff. Most everything together. Today we kind of split up at the end of the day because I was still doing some shopping. But for the most part, we did most everything together, and We had one dinner with Joe and Chris, who are our housemates for the weekend. We went to the 501st Bash on Thursday night, which was a ton of fun. A group called the Flux Capacitors played a 80s cover band themed around Back to the Future. They played a bunch of like Star Wars versions of songs. They had a couple of really good DJs playing. It was open bar, open buffet. A lot of people, a lot of people. But that was a lot of fun, and just the experience of being here is what I was on with Thor from or Brian from what is their podcast? Applesauce and hot dogs, or something. I'll have to confirm that. It's something like that.
Applesauce and
But
hot dogs.
he wanted to talk about our experience, my experience so far with the celebration. My biggest thing, there's a reason I'm wearing this shirt. About halfway through the first day, I was like, uh, there's people of all shapes, colors, sexes. Diversity was impressive and heartwarming for me. Because of the Twitter sphere, internet space, and the trolls who care to troll, and misogynistic assholes, and politically obscure people who want to run their mouth because they won't get smacked in it, um, miss the point of Star Wars. And the conversation of inclusion and stuff like that has always been part of the conversation from jump. And when you see a little 3-year-old girl dressed as Ray running around, or you see someone of Pacific Rim descent dressed up as not a Pacific Rim character,
Right.
or a little petite little girl dressed in Pre Vizsla's armor, or so
Darth Ball.
and Darth Maul, very very different versions of Darth Maul and
Yep.
Kylo,
Yep.
and it was very refreshing to have that um, visualized in something that I already knew kind of in my heart, that really the basis of Star Wars fans are inclusive and having fun and want to talk about it. And sure, we're going to debate the nuances of, does Obi-Wan need to force run to stop Maul from killing Qui-Gon? Sure, let's have that conversation. But I was heart heartwarmed. I guess that's the right way to put
Yeah.
it. For everything we had.
Yeah. Especially since, over the last 2+ years of no one really having outside contact with each other
Yeah.
other than through social media. And I'm not saying that this stuff started through the pandemic, but I feel like
Maybe amplified.
amplified,
Yeah.
or it just, there wasn't any of this to help you kind of
Mm.
go, oh yeah, this
Yeah.
isn't actually reality, and you just keep getting pushed down and pushed down and pushed down and
Yeah.
pushed down to where you haven't been able to have your cup refilled, and it's getting pretty empty.
It got
So
pretty refilled this
Yeah.
whole 4 days.
Yeah.
And, when we were walking over the convention center today, I was telling her that in Chicago they did 5 days.
Yeah.
And I could go for about one more day. I think I'd be good for about one more day, especially if we were able to get into a couple more panels later in the event than what we were able to. But I could have gone one more day. I don't really want to go home. It's not necessarily that I don't. Nobody wants to work. I mean, obviously that's but I just multiple times I caught myself smiling crazy.
Yep.
And uh, I will, just to oppose that, talk about what happened with me today. I had set myself before we left for the convention that I want to do a big boy purchase, something, a lightsaber, a figure, a number one comic, something, a big purchase that I have a list of things that I've been wanting to get. I have the money. It's time to do it at a convention where I can share that enjoyment with other people and stuff. And I saved till today to do it, and everything that I wanted was gone. And it was very disappointing for me That's me. That's on me. That's not the convention's fault. That's not everybody who bought it before me, bastards. But it did for our walk back. I walked back with my head down because I was very upset with myself that I didn't allow myself that enjoyment of that. And that's not on anybody else's fault but me. But also because of that, because of not making that decision, now I have money to go build my own lightsaber when we come back in October. Hopefully. So let's talk about some of the panel stuff that happened. We attempted to get into all of the big morning panels before the convention happened, and the Funko booth and the Loungefly booth, and we were not able to get drawn for any of those. Several people posted to the Facebook group that they did get multiple morning panels. I really wanted to get into the Lucasfilm one. That was the first one on Thursday. They did a Kenobi thing, and then they invited everybody back that night for the premiere of the first 2 episodes. John Williams was there. They had a Willow trailer. They had Harrison was there. They Andor. They did an Andor trailer. Like they did what I thought they were going to do outside of announcing Tika's movies coming in 2025, and that was the only thing.
That's next time.
We'll get to that. But our panel process is a lottery system for this event, and every morning at 8:30 we got in the virtual queue to get into the Mandalorian experience. And then at 9:00 we got into the Celebration Store virtual line. And once you got into that line, you could lightning speed jump ahead of the line, make your reservations, however you want to put it, and other panels. And we didn't figure that out until Saturday morning because it was Saturday morning when we finally got in.
Right.
The only thing that we really did on Thursday was the Force Center Star Wars Explained co-panel, which was an hour and a half of awesome.
Yep. And I kind of feel like we talked about this a little bit. So we're most familiar with Phoenix Fan Fusion because that's our home convention, and that's the one that we've gone to the most times. And the facility that that's in allows for a lot of smaller panels.
Yeah.
And we have actually had gone to some really good smaller panels.
Yeah. Some really bad ones too. But
well, yeah, but you can just get up and leave.
Yeah.
Right. You didn't invest any money to go to this panel. You ducked in, hey, there's a seat here and I need to sit down, and sometimes it's like, wow, this is super interesting. The facility here, at least the area that they used, I mean, that's pretty much it, right? What they used doesn't really allow for that. There's a pretty small, smaller room area, and a lot of that got taken up by the store and the
droid builders.
The droid builders and
Rancho Obi-Wan.
Rancho Obi-Wan, which were large, and so they took up like the whole section.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I mean, we did get into the droid builders, and that was fun. But it kind of, if you didn't get into one of those bigger panels, or the store, or the Mandalorian experience, and you're not cosplaying, your options are the floor,
right,
or show up later, which was kind of okay for us because we were in the house, so we could stay. We did this on Friday. We stayed here until almost noon because we watched the 2 episodes of Obi-Wan, and we did our review, and took our time getting over there. But you were saying that you could do another day, but to do what?
Yeah, that was my point. Was if there was a more accessibility to panels, I think I would be okay for another day, because then you're spending an hour in or more in a panel. You're not just wandering around the floor looking at the booths for the seventh or eighth time,
Right.
which I'm okay with doing. But at some point in time, you want to sit down because your feet hurt or your back
Yeah.
hurts or you're done with people, bumping into people or whatever.
And by the end of today, I felt like I had seen everything.
There
I
was
I'd
stamp. There was there was standby lines
Yeah.
that you could possibly get in. We got in, made a reservation for the Doug Chang panel. It was the art and the design of the Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, which was one of the ones I really wanted to get into. We got into the store. We were able to get that reservation for the store and Doug Chang, so it worked out really well. And that was a really fun panel, and I'm happy we did that. But if we hadn't, there was still room in the back of the room when we left to fill in for the walk-in process. But that wasn't true for all panels.
Right.
We tried on Friday to go to the Mandalorian experience, which was all of the set dressing, costumes, everything from the show in a one big open display, which was bonkers.
Yeah, it was amazing.
We got the chance to go today and just experience that. But we tried on Friday to get in by just being in the standby line, and we sat there for an hour and realized it's going to be another hour or change to go in. And we wanted to try to go to it's called Star Wars Trilogy in 30 minutes. They do a stage play of telling the whole story of the original trilogy in 30 minutes with like bad props and
Yeah.
like one of the guys sits on his knees and puts his hands out to be like this, to be like Yoda and stuff. And so we left the Mando experience to go try to get in that panel. We got up there and they'd already capped the room, and there was probably another 500 people in line to go see it.
Yeah.
And I think if that was in the Galaxy stage, they probably would have had a chance to fill the Galaxy stage.
Yeah.
Which is Galaxy stage is about, I say maybe 700 to 1,000 people in that one room.
Yeah,
And
it
that's
was
one of
big.
the smaller, big rooms.
Yeah.
So, I like the lottery system for the panels, for the idea of you have a chance if you win the lottery to get in and you can secure your place. It makes it free and open for everybody to have at least a puncher's chance to get in, and you're
Right.
not camping out overnight in cold concrete floors in the basement of the convention center.
Which certainly limits. I mean, there were, we talked to several people who were like, I want them to go back to that way of doing it, or to do that here. I don't know if they ever did it before, but San Diego Comic Con used to. One, I don't know if they'll ever go back to that just because of COVID,
Right.
but it does definitely limit. Like for us, I'm not interested in. There's literally no one I want to see that bad. Literally,
Not overnight. I'll sit for an hour or two.
yeah, and
but
we've done that, but not camp out overnight.
No.
That's not happening. And we're reasonably healthy individuals. It's not that we physically could not do it. We just choose to spend our time in other ways. There are plenty of people out there that physically could not do it, and
Right.
that's not fair. So this made it fair for everyone, with the caveat that, like he said before, there were people posting that they got into everything they wanted to get into. They
Yeah.
had something for every single day, and then there were many people like us who got into nothing. And so, there's been we said it, and then there's other people that have said it too, that there was some sort of way that if you got into one thing, you went to the bottom of the
next,
list
yeah.
for the next thing, and that would give everyone opportunity to at least experience one thing.
Right. And it levels the playing field, I think, for more people.
Yeah, do a rating. Like,
Yeah.
you can put in for 3 things, but you need to rank them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so if you got your number 1, you might be out for everything else.
I put in for all 4 of the morning panels and Funko, and like I said, Loungefly, and we got nothing. I'm drinking beer. And so just having I appreciate it. Like, I appreciate the idea of at least levels the playing field beer, and but I just it's not quite level. It's
Yeah.
kind of intermediate
Yeah.
with everybody, and so but for us for our first convention, I was okay that we didn't get in. Like I was upset. I was sad, of course, because I wanted to get into that one, the ILM one, were the big two ones, and then the Mando one was the other big one that I really
Yeah.
wanted to get into, and we didn't get into any of those. And
Right.
so, uh, but the experience wasn't ruined because we learned through word of mouth trickle on social media.
Yeah.
We're in the building kind of thing, and then Star Wars YouTube channel was as sharing things
Yeah.
as it was going along.
And the live stage, you could go.
And that's where I was going. Was
Yeah.
the live stage. The live stage is a fun thing that you're just not going to get at another a bunch of other conventions. It was this year was tucked. Somebody had told us it was been in the middle, and then the vendors were on either side. But
Yeah.
this time the vendors were on one side. The line to get in the big convention hall was down on one end, and then the other end was the live stage, where they were just live streaming 5-6 hours a day
Yeah.
from the convention floor. And they had this really cool set, looked like Mos Eisley's a little bit.
Yeah.
A big walkout stage.
It was interactive. There was like a starport or something. There were ships taking off in the back and smoke coming out of the chimneys.
There was a full size TIE fighter there. All of the cosplay groups, 501st, Rebel Legion, Droid Builders, everybody had a booth right there. So a bunch of the cosplayers were walking around. And so it was a fun place. And then all the photo ops and autographs were right there too.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were stuck in line, you could watch the show while you're standing there.
Yeah.
And if you watch the live stream, that's like the main gatherings point for most everybody at the convention. If you're not on the floor shopping and you're not in a panel, you're hanging out at the live stage.
Yeah.
We went over there multiple times to
Yeah.
watch Phil Tippett curse on freaking internet TV.
He does not care.
He does not care.
He's in his 80s.
Right,
you know,
right.
You don't have to care anymore. I think I would have. I guess I understand maybe why it was there, but I would have liked it to have been in the middle of the floor.
Yes,
I know
very
that
much.
we've watched it where it was in the middle of the floor. The last one, the running of Woodrow Hoods happened like all like around the stage and
Yeah.
up and over the stage and everything. So we missed that because we didn't know necessarily that it was going on, and I don't know that they went to the live stage because I don't know
I
that a
haven't
lot of
seen anything
people.
posted where they saw them
Yeah,
go
and
running by. And stuff.
Hayden and Ewan were there at the live stage.
Yeah.
We had no idea until
Yeah.
we came home and watched it on TV with everyone else. So
Yeah.
I feel like you kind of missed out on some stuff because it was tucked over there.
And there's a little bit too of we talked about this the other night that we ran into so many influencers and TikTokers, and I talked to multiple people and ran into cosplayers we know and people from Phoenix we know and stuff like that. And then we get on social media and the March of the Clone Troopers goes by, and we weren't like it's like FOMO, like at the how can it be FOMO when you're in the building
when you're
when it's
there.
happening? But it's still happening because it's all happening over there. The conventions hall, the hall here is gigantic, and it's 3 floors, and then the
Multiple buildings,
and then the other buildings got the store and the Mando experience.
Yeah,
and then there's if you just go outside and stand by the fountains because it's at the Anaheim Convention Center. If you've seen the pictures from WonderCon, there's a big fountain in the courtyard there. If you just sit there all day, cosplayers will just show up and hang out.
Oh,
And
yeah.
So I've got a ton of photos on my camera that are now locked because I took so many pictures that are of all that area and stuff. The cosplay was amazing. Even like the simple, I'm trying to put something together in doing something. I really appreciate everything.
Yeah.
It was an amazing Jackson running around. It was hit everybody really, really hard. I think our experience overall is a big thumbs up, a big positive. Sure, there's some little tweaks here and there that we would like, but I don't think I've read some people complaining in some of the Facebook groups that my experience was ruined because I got blah blah blah, or I didn't get blah blah blah. Well, that's the con experience. I know that kind of sounds crappy, but that's the con experience. That's you're going to miss something.
Yeah.
There's going to be something that you're like, I really wanted to do this, and something happened, and it just doesn't work out.
Right.
That's why you plan. You say, here's the 50 things I hope to do. Here's the 5 I really want to do, and if everything else happens, great. If not, then better luck next year.
Yeah, and you have to prepare for the fact that none of it's going to happen. You're going to have a completely different experience, and that should be okay too.
Yeah.
We've run large events, not anywhere near this large, but still 3,000-4,000 people, and you're never going to make everybody happy all the time. It's just not going to happen, and it's a lot of work, and there's a lot of things that this morning we got the passes, finally got into the Mandalorian experience. We're like, okay, 10:30, because the convention doesn't open till 10. 10 o'clock was blocked out. We're like, okay, we will walk up there, get there at 10:30 and go in. We got there at like 5 after 10.
Yeah.
The doors had just opened and went over there, and everybody's just milling around, and the doors are still locked. And most of the doors don't have external handles, so you can't even open them from the outside. Everybody's milling around, and we had seen yesterday that the doors had unlocked kind of sequentially down the line.
Down the line, yeah.
And so I was kind of like, oh, they just haven't unlocked them yet. Everybody's still milling around, and there's kind of sort of a line happening over here. And so we kind of, all right, we'll go stand over here. And then somebody comes out with a staff badge, and they're like, this is not an official line. If you are standing here when we, go to line up, you will not be included, and da-da-da. And we're like, well, just tell us where to go, because there's nobody out here. There's no signs. We have no idea. And it's like a quarter till. And the last time we went, people were lining up a good half an hour before their scheduled time, because you got these little queue lines. And so you went. None of that was happening. And so they're like, go over to the palm trees. So we go. Now this whole crowd that was milling around over here is now milling around over by the palm trees. Still have no idea what we're doing. And then finally somebody came out and told everybody to start lining up. Well, we start to kind of find out that this is actually standby people.
Yeah.
We have reservations.
Yeah.
And it's like 5 till, or 10:25 now. And so he's like, they're kind of letting people in over here. So we wander over there, and they're like, if you're standby, you need to go over there. And we're like, we have a reservation. They're like, go, come on in.
Yeah.
And so we get in and we go down there. So what we think is that it was some sort of VIP that had booked the room for the 10 o'clock, because it was completely, we got right in this morning.
Yeah.
And it was already gone.
Yeah.
And they were pushing everybody back away from the building. So it kind of feels like
a VIP, they were filming something. Something was definitely
they could have
point.
Been filming something too, because
that just
all of
in my head.
Mandalorian,
everything was in there.
Everything was in there, yeah.
And so but that's part of running a big event,
right? And that's where I was kind of going with that. It was chaotic, and it could have been handled a little bit better, but it may have been on the fly. We don't know. You don't know what's going on in the background.
And they're not going to run around and say, "Oh, by the way, the governor of California wants to go walk through the experience."
Right.
But
they could have had a couple more people out there going, if you are standby, go stand over there.
Yeah.
If you have a reservation, go stand over here. But we were all just kind of fending for ourselves for a while. So, and that makes people very anxious.
Yes.
Because they have a reservation. They're like, I need to get in.
And a lot of people too don't have the we talked about it on the way over the first day. Like, You have to bring a bucket of patience with you, and I think some people have forgotten that, and some people never learned it in the first place
Yeah.
before the pandemic. That
Right.
when you're at a con, you just got to bring a bunch of patience. You're going to bump into somebody, and you just turn around and apologize. And almost everywhere it happened with both of us, either if we ran into somebody or they ran into us, everybody turned around and apologized,
Yeah.
even if it was the other person's
Yeah.
fault. Everybody was pretty good. There was a couple of times where people were, it's their con and nobody else's, and that's again par for the course. It's like it's not any different than going to the grocery store or Target or anything
Yeah.
like that. It
Yep.
you just kind of bring a bucket of patience, and
Yep.
it got progressively easier through the week as we were here to move around the con floor and go to certain booths because the exclusives have been sold out
Yeah.
and stuff. So
Thursday was crazy with just
but
because the
I
exclusives.
expected that because everybody's there for all the exclusives, and we got some exclusives, and I'm really happy with what we got. But I like the exclusives, but I don't. Again, I'm not going to ruin my con experience
Right.
because I ran over and stood in a 4-hour line and didn't get something,
Right.
and now I'm just despondent.
Right.
It was my fault that I didn't buy the lightsaber I should have bought 3 days ago when I had the time and the money and they were still in the booth. So that's a little bit of a different process. Let's talk about the future. At closing ceremonies, they announced April 7th through the 10th, which is Easter weekend, in London,
2023.
2023, which is in 10 months. We were saying before the con that we thought they were going to announce something at the big Lucasfilm panel. We got the Indiana Jones teaser, we got the trailer for Willow, and they announced Skeleton Crew with Jude Law coming to Disney Plus. But there was no other big announcements.
Right.
And so in the Variety article, they did talk about the next big movie is going to be Tika's movie. And so we have been talking about this evening about what London means and the timing of 10 months from now. We're doing this again. And we think that the reason they're doing it then is they were supposed to do it Labor Day, I believe, this year or last year. And so
it should have been in 2020, right?
right in
And
June, I think,
in
of 2020.
July,
right?
was when we
It
had
starts with a J.
originally bought tickets for. They do it every 2 years, and then D23 is the
Supposed to be the opposite year.
year. So, that was 2 years ago. So now, and now they're doing D23 this year as
In September,
well.
yeah,
So
right down the street.
they're so now it makes sense that they would try to get back on that every other year schedule, but like my question is, why not wait until 2025 instead of 10 months from now? So
Yeah.
I feel like there has to be something. Otherwise, they're just having this giant con in London for the sake of having a giant con, and
In
maybe
London.
drop season 2 of Obi-Wan or some trailer for season 2 of Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
And
it just
maybe,
doesn't make business sense unless they have something.
yeah, there's right currently as we stand, there's not enough content for them to drop anything big.
Other than we'll get a trailer for the new Tales of the Jedi, which they just announced this weekend, which is an anthology animated series. So we'll get a trailer for that in 10
Right.
months, which means it won't probably come out until late in 2023 anyways. And Bad Batch is coming out in spring of 2023. So everything
But those
will
are
be
smaller.
but everything will be rolling or going, or at least we know what's happening
Yeah.
outside of Skeleton Crew, and so and Tales of the Jedi. So it's very interesting that they are doing it again in 10 months. It feels like there's a big announcement sitting there, especially if you take into consideration that they just announced Phase 2 of the High Republic, which is the big publishing thing.
Yep.
So and that was a big thing this weekend, but it feels like the momentum is going towards something along that line.
Yeah,
there
has to be something.
a little fun fact. We are here for this. We are going to a music festival in July in Washington, and then we're going to another one here locally in LA beer in October, and then we were like, okay, we're going to go to the UK in March, April, or May. How convenient that Star Wars Celebration is going to be in London, about 30 minutes from where we're going to be staying in central London. So we are probably going to do at least one day. It feels like one day makes the most sense because we're going to London for the second time, and our list of things for London is that
Longer than it was the
scroll
first
from Monty Python where it rolls down the street. That's where we are with London, and our Star Wars scroll is like a little piece of paper in my pocket, like. And so, if things work out, we will probably go at least one day because it would be cool to experience this somewhere else, especially after we're talking to the Spanish guys and the guy from Reading, UK, who was
Right.
born in Scotland but
Right.
lives in Reading, and his experience of coming here to the States, and now it's going to be in his hometown. So
Yeah.
it would be kind of fun to have that experience.
Yeah.
And what that means.
Yep.
I'm sure we have a ton more. I'm going to be posting a ton of. We've been posting a ton of photos and
We have
TikToks
so much
and
more.
stuff. Like I said, I have like 300 or 400 photos on my camera and a bunch of stuff on our personal cameras, and so we'll be posting all of that to our Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff, and trying to do all that. We'll be doing TikToks about our experiences and stuff, everything for the next few days. So I'm really glad that you guys came along with us on this little journey, and I hope you do get the chance to come to something like this, Celebration, Gallifrey One, some big con like this that you get to geek out with your people. So with that, let us know what you thought of Celebration and our discussion about it in the comments down below. Please be nice. That's a requirement around here. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and follow us on all the social media stuff, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, like I just said. And the links are in the description down below. But we're going to go have some multiple shots of tequila and put our feet in ice. And maybe some ibuprofen. And until next time, cult members, good afternoon, good evening, and go to sleep now.